Hi, I'm Chef Denise with Nisi Cooks. For the past 14 years, I've been a personal chef and culinary teacher. My clientele includes everything from families, business owners. I have cooked for NFL players, for NBA players, NBA players, and Big Ten coaches. I also have cooked for even a U.S. congressman. So my experience is very diverse. I have traveled throughout this country and throughout Europe and have found that there are so many dishes that I love in the European countries that I've worked hard over these years making them my own. So that's what I'm going to bring to you over the next several weeks. Dishes from Italy, France, and Ireland. Today we're going to start out with dishes from Italy. I'm going to do a brown butter chicken, which is a 150-year-old recipe from Florence, Italy. It's a very simple, very delicious dish that is easy to cook. I'm also going to be doing a Tuscan bean soup from the Tuscan region, and then my own take on cannoli. It's a lemon marscapone with a blueberry reduction sauce. I hope you enjoy. We're going to start on the Tuscan bean soup. So what we want to do is take a stick of butter, and you're going to take about 2 tablespoons to put in the bottom of the pan. Once that starts to melt, we're going to add the onions, and then we're going to add about a clove or 2 of garlic. I'm going to show you a little garlic trick I like to do here. I like to take some kosher salt and actually sprinkle it on the garlic before I start chopping it. This kind of gives a little bit of resistance so that the chop is a little bit finer, and it also separates any of the paper that you may have on the garlic. You need to remember though that you've added salt as you go along at this step. But it helps get you a fine mince here. Okay, so our butter is almost melted. And we're gonna add the onions. And these we're going to let get to the point where they're translucent. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to cut open or slice open the Italian sausage. These are sweet Italian sausage links, and I like to buy them in links a little bit more than just a bulk sausage, so I can more or less control the size of the pieces that are in the soup. These break apart pretty easily. So you've got, I have 3 here. If your butcher or grocery store sells large Italian sausage, in a link, you can use 1. This recipe is going to be for about 2 to 3 people. You can smell the onions starting to come up. Get rid of this. I'm going to take a minute and wash my hands from that. So what we're going to have today in this soup are the onions. We're going to be adding the garlic. And then we're going to add the Italian sausage straight to the pan and let that brown up. This all happens pretty quickly. And then once that sausage is browning, I'm going to be cutting some potato into thin slices. We're going to add potato in here, beans, and then kale. And to finish it off, we're going to use some basil. So this soup is really nice and hearty. It's something that would really make a full meal with just a slice of bread or a nice loaf of bread as a side or a salad. And the other thing is that's nice about this is it's gluten-free if you're watching a gluten-free diet. So at this point, I'm going to add that garlic. And remember, the garlic has the salt in it, so we're going to watch the salt as we finish the soup. We're going to let these onions saute down just a little bit more, and we'll be right back. Our onions are now doing their beautiful dance into a lovely saute here, and they're getting translucent. So we're going to add the sausage, the Italian sausage. I'm using mild or sweet Italian sausage today. You're more than welcome, if your flavors and tastes want to be a little spicier, to use a medium or hot Italian sausage. They all work great. Doesn't have to be the sweet or mild. It can be anything you'd like. And to get a little bit more fat in here, I'm not going to drain this. I'm going to let this cook down along with the onions as they keep browning, and brown this meat for a minute or two until it gets cooked through. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to cut these potatoes up. So the potatoes are just going to add another starchy element to this dish, which is really nice. And we're doing a really thin cut here so that these potatoes cook through. These are Yukon Gold. You can use baby white potatoes or baby red potatoes, or if you don't have that, you can just go with a everyday baking potato is fine too. As long as you have a bite-sized piece that you can cut it into. Done with the potatoes. And this is starting to brown here. I'm going to give it just another minute or two so I don't see any pink. I think we're good. Now I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. This is organic chicken stock. Oops. Once that comes up to a boil, I'm going to add the potatoes and the beans. All right, we have a low boil coming to it right now. So this is a good opportunity to add the potatoes. So I'm going to add those. And then I'm going to add a can of Tuscan beans or cannoli beans, and let these potatoes start to tenderize in here in this broth as it boils. This will take about 4 or 5 minutes to do, and then we're going to add the kale. Okay, the soup has been boiling for about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add the kale now. This is a chopped kale that we bought in a bag. The thing I do is just pull the leaves off. I want to get these stems that don't cook through and can be pretty rough and tough when you eat off and not into the soup. So I'm going to pick at this for a minute. And again, bite-sized pieces are always good because it's a soup. Some of these are pretty good. The other thing is, if you wanted to use kale from your garden, you're more than welcome to do that. Just again, I would avoid any of the larger stems, but I know a lot of people like to grow kale in the summer, and if you want to get rid of some of it, this is a great soup to do it with. This kale will take about another 5 to 10 minutes to cook down, and then we're going to add a little bit of basil and let the soup come together for a few minutes, and we're ready to eat. We're going to go ahead now and chiffonade, or cut into thin strips, some of this basil. And this is fresh basil. If you don't have basil, don't worry about it. It's just another added flavor, added dimension to the soup. And you can actually add thyme if you have it, rosemary. I just thought the basil looked so pretty, we would go ahead and add the basil. We're going to add some cracked pepper some salt. And then we're gonna put this aside to simmer just a little bit longer on the back oven. And we will be right back to start our brown butter chicken. So we're gonna start our butter chicken. Butter chicken, this recipe, comes from Florence, Italy. It is actually a 150-year-old recipe that they're still making today. It is one of the simplest dishes that you'll ever make and probably one of the most tasty. As a personal chef, this is one of the dishes that I get asked most often to make. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're doing with our chicken. These are bone-off, skin-on chicken breasts. And this is what you want. You want that skin so that it adds fat and flavor to your dish. You can also do something called an airliner breast, which is boneless chicken breast with skin on, and it has the little bit of a wing. It's a very pretty presentation, and actually the way it got its name, airliner breast, was from being served when airlines used to be, let's say, a really exciting thing to do. Go with the family on a trip, get dressed up, and they actually served you meals. Airliner breast was something that didn't take a lot of utensils for people to eat. It was always very tender. So that's where the name airliner breast came from. So in this pan, I am going to melt some butter. I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil in here first. And the reason I do that is the brown butter can burn pretty easily. This brings it so that we have a temperature that is a little bit more tolerant of a really hot pan. I'm going to season the chicken breasts very simply with just kosher salt and pepper. It's a good idea whenever you're using raw chicken or handling raw chicken to get into to wash your hands immediately when you're done touching it so you don't go to other things like a pepper mill. That won't work. Okay, so the butter is almost browning. You can see that caramelized color that it gets. And we're going to drop the breast skin side down into the hot butter. And we're going to let that rest in the butter for about 6 to 8 minutes. So we've been about 5 to 6 minutes on the chicken breast, butter in the pan, skin side down. And this is what they should look like when you turn them over, a beautiful brown. Now we're going to let them cook for about another 5 to 6 minutes on this side. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get started on green beans. We have a pan heating here, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, some more butter, love my butter, and I've got green beans here which are called French green beans or haricots verts. You can find these at a lot of stores now. They're getting more and more popular. If you can't find the haricots verts or the French string beans or green beans, you can just use a regular green bean. And these I actually started in the microwave. I gave them about 1 minute so that they get just a little bit of the crispiness out. And I'm going to add them to the pan just to finish them off. I like my green beans with a little bit of a bite to them. So these are going to cook for about 3 or 4 minutes, tossing them around. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to these. And at the end, I'll finish them off with a little bit of lemon too. When these are done on this side, We're gonna pop this in the oven at 350 for about 8 minutes, just to make sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through. It means to take the temperature of the chicken, it should be 160 internally. If you don't, I can show you a trick when we come back. Now we're going to start on my twist on a cannoli. It is a lemon marscapone cannoli, and we're going to have a blueberry sauce to go with that. So I'm going to first start the blueberries, and that's just about a pint of blueberries, fresh blueberries. I'm going to add some sugar to that, and then a little bit of water. And we're just going to let this reduce while we do the cannoli. So the cannoli is going to be the mascarpone cheese, and this is an Italian cheese. I have let this come to room temperature. That is about 8 to 10 ounces of cheese in there. I'm going to start by whipping this down just a little bit. Kind of looks like a heavy whipped cream. And then to that, I'm going to add some powdered sugar. We're just going to eyeball this for a consistency. I would say that is about a half a cup. And then I'm going to add some lemon to that. And the lemon is the liquid that's going in. So I'm going to take out those seeds. And I'm going to go to the second half of the lemon. And then I'm also going to do some lemon zest in here. This is really going to brighten the whole cannoli up. Let's give it a mix again. I'm going to add just a little bit more lemon juice to this. And a little bit more powdered sugar, now that we've got that incorporated. And I'm going to do a little bit more of the lemon. Get the seeds at the top out. And then I'm going to fill a piping bag here. And I have purchased cannoli shells. You can make cannoli shells if you'd like. They are a little bit time consuming. If you have a Pizel iron, you can actually do a Pizel iron and do those as cannoli shells. They work really well. But I did purchase these, and you can get them at a lot of grocery stores. They're in with the cookies and sometimes the baking. And if you can't find them there, you can find them online. And I've just cut a little hole at the end here. I want a lot of filling in here, so I'm going to go from each side. So this was enough to do 3 really nice sized cannolis. There we go. And then we're just going to wait on this reduction sauce. And when we come back, we will plate the cannolis, plate the soup, and also plate our brown butter chicken with green beans. This is the dinner that we just completed. This is the brown butter chicken from Florence, the 150-year-old recipe. Very, very simple, very delicious. And the haricot vert that goes with it, with the lemon, the simple sauce of just butter, salt, and pepper. Here is our Tuscan kale bean soup. And that again is gluten-free, and it is a meal in itself. Here we have the cannoli, the lemon cannoli, made with mascarpone cheese, blueberry sauce, and a little bit of lemon. If you like what you've seen today, remember to check me out on Nisi Cooks. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. All of these recipes will be on Instagram and Facebook and many more. In the following weeks, I hope to come back and share a mushroom ragu over creamy polenta, an olive oil cake, a galette that's savory with cheese and herbs, chocolate flourless torte from France. And then I'm going to also delve into Ireland, where my daughter lives, and do a fisherman's pie. So I hope to see you again soon. Again, Nisi Cooks on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much.